Harho, and I am the Student Services Program Coordinator for the Pottstown School District. Tonight, I'm going to go over some specifics about VAL, our Virtual Learning Academy, so that you and your student can make an informed decision if you haven't already decided to switch to VAL for the upcoming school year. So the VAL Academy is an extension of the Pottstown School District. So this is beneficial to you and your students in many ways. Our program is hosted by a well-known educational partner, Pearson, which Mary Beth will talk about later, and this is zero cost to you and your family. So this is not the same as the Google Classroom that your students worked with in the spring semester. VAL Academy has been a part of the school district since 2012 and offers students the same curriculum that they would receive in classroom. PSD has partnered with Pearson, who employs PA certified teachers to ensure that this will be a smooth transition for all students, regardless of grade level and enrollment type. Being a part of the school district means a few things for you and your students. Flexibility on entering VAL and on heading back to in-classroom instruction. We understand the needs of both you and your student, and they may change throughout the course of the academic year. We want to ensure the success of your student overall. Our goal is to work with you to figure out what best suits your needs at any time throughout the year. We do recommend that students stay in VAL for at least one marking period to ensure accurate grading and the easiest transition for both you, your student, and staff as well. As part of the Pottstown School District, your student is eligible for a school-issued laptop. You should have received an email regarding district-wide pickup with a certain location and time frame based on your child's grade level. With this, internet access will be required to complete the coursework. If access to internet is a barrier, please feel free to reach out individually so that we may assist with additional resources. Great news is that there is no deadline as we are accepting students on a rolling basis. Your student can enroll in VAL during the school year by talking with their guidance counselor, building principal, or by filling out the application online. If you're considering VAL for your student, enrolling before the school year begins would be beneficial so that classes can begin seamlessly. If you do enroll before the start of the school year, simply fill out the online application and we will be in touch. If you decide your student will begin VAL after the school year has begun, this will be a transition that will happen with a referral from your school's guidance counselor. With that being said, we do understand the interest in blended learning and want to be able to provide your student the opportunity to learn in person as well as online. This will vary on a case-by-case basis as well as grade level. Some students do choose to do their core classes in person and will do their electives online or vice versa. Once again, this is worked through with your specific guidance counselor at your school. This is only happening if there is some sort of in-classroom instruction at some point throughout the school year. So as we've already decided for the fall semester, that will not happen through the fall semester. Every student will be completely online. Students have the same attendance requirement for VAL as they do for in-classroom instruction. With that being said, 2 hours per day each school day is in session is required by the district. This is a mandated requirement. However, with elementary grades, there is a level of flexibility provided that the student is completing their coursework in a timely manner. Although 2 hours per day is the district requirement, it is important to understand that students do typically require about 4 to 5 hours a day in order to be successful in their courses.
I want to jump in quickly, Daisy.
Sure.
Dr.
Yeah.
White, Director of Student Services. I wanted to come back to the attendance component. The way that we take attendance is we run an activity report and we look at whether or not the student has done activity work within their courses. So if they've gone in and they're actually working on assignments, submitting things. It'll show up down to the minute, even down to the second actually, how long a student has been in their coursework. It also shows idle time, which means they've had their laptop open and nothing has been happening that whole time. So when we look at that, we take the cumulative of 2 hours. We run the report from 12:01 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So you have the entire day to work on the assignments and get those 2 hours in. It doesn't have to be 2 hours at a time. You can do half an hour or whatever increments. Maybe some of you parents are at work and maybe the kids are at a babysitter or daycare or at a relative's house during the day. That's okay if you decide you want to do work at home at night. So I just wanted to make that clear as it relates to attendance. And you're also required to attend every day their school. So we follow Pottstown School District's calendar. So if we're in school Monday through Friday this week, those are the days that you should be on. I understand sometimes people are like, oh, well, I did double work on Monday, so I decided to take off Tuesday. We need you to log in every day that there's school. Now, in our calendars, there are days like holidays and in-service days and different things like that that our students wouldn't normally come to school. You don't have to work on those days. You can if you want to get ahead, but you don't have to. We will not be taking attendance on the days that the school district is closed. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. She makes some great points, and I'm sure we would receive some questions on that as well. So thank you. So students who choose VAL will be enrolled in courses that mirror their in-classroom courses they chose for fall 2020 or were automatically enrolled in depending on their grade level. Electives will be contingent on having PA state certified teachers for the course. However, Pearson offers a plethora of electives, so your students should feel comfortable finding electives that they are interested in without any issue.
All right, I'm jumping in again.
Yeah.
So for elementary, what we really try to do is focus on the core courses that are offered: English, math, science, social studies. Depending on how well the student is doing, we can look at adding maybe a gym or an art or something like that, but we take it on a case-by-case basis. We don't auto-upload electives to elementary students unless we have a conversation with that parent ahead of time. We don't want to overwhelm the students. We want them to be able to focus on those core courses. So if you do have elementary students and you're interested in doing an elective like music, art, gym, that would be virtually online through their curriculum, then you need to reach out to us specifically and we can discuss that at a different time. But we do not auto upload electives for elementary students.
Awesome, thank you. So these requirements fall in line with the Pottstown School District standards. So we do require 26 credits for high school students in order to be eligible for graduation. Signing up, oh, sorry, next.
Okay, I'm jumping in. So for high school students, well, for all students, your building is still your building. So if you were in high school, your building still says high school. Your elementary still says Franklin or Lincoln or wherever you are. When we're really looking at these high school graduation requirements, the same requirements that you have in Pottstown virtual learning that you do with the Pottstown teachers are going to be the same requirement here. So because if you're in your senior year and you finish through us, you still get your Pottstown School District diploma. So the standards are exactly the same as what you would be doing if you were regularly in the building.
Okay, great. Yep, you're 100% right. So I know a lot of the people who are here have already signed up for VAL, which is great. But just so you know, if you haven't, you can complete the application on the homepage of the Pottstown School District. Filling out that application does not mean you are strictly tied into online learning for the academic year. There is an option to connect with us to learn more about the program, which you guys are obviously doing right now. If you are a parent for more than one student in the district, please complete this form for each student. This is just because students can have different needs, and maybe one of your student needs more one-on-one time and is looking at one program, and another student is more self-sufficient and is looking towards a different So what happens next? A lot of you have contacted me and I appreciate that so much. Please stay in contact with me. I know you're ready to jump in and get your students signed up. If you have picked up your students' equipment or know when you are this week, that's great. With that, students and parents will have the chance to become familiar with Pearson Connexus during the first week of the academic year in order to set you and your student up for success. So parents and guardians, you're going to be assigned a caretaker course. This is going to allow you to learn more about your student setup, to get familiar with the platform, and to actually sync an external calendar to your student's calendar so that you're aware with you're aware of their submission dates. This is something that we'll go over a little bit more when I send out the login form for both you and your student. We are allowing, this is a completely rolling admissions base, but we are kind of making a soft deadline by this Friday. So I will be sending out login information to you parents for both your login as well as your students' login early next week. I just need to get all of the students into the system and then I can get everything sent out for you. So that's going to be the next thing you're going to be looking for from me. I do know there are some parents that have questions because they went to go pick up their Chromebook from district pickup today and weren't able to. So please stay tuned. I'm going to be in contact, myself and Dr. White, with technology. So this may be a basis where we give you your device one-on-one, but please stay tuned and know that we do hear you and we will make sure that you get your device as soon as possible.
So before we move on, I just wanted to reiterate a few things. So Ms. Harho talked about the soft deadline of Friday. What does that mean? That means that if you've not yet enrolled in our VAL program, you're going to automatically default to the regular school building virtual learning. And if you go that route, wonderful. And if you do want to go in VAL, there is the form that has to be completed in order for us to move in that way. For high school students, what will happen once after you get all your login and all that information, we're working with the guidance counselors to upload the courses that you would have had on your schedule into the system for, at the very least, semester one. You will still be working in a block scheduling format where the student would be getting 4 credits in semester one, and then they'll get a whole new 4 credits in semester two. So we stay on that format for high school students. For elementary and middle school students, that you stay with your regular type of schedule, except that elementary, you'd really be focusing on your core courses. With middle school, we do add gym, and then we offer an elective as requested. A couple of other things that I know that Daisy covered in a previous video. If you are on the fence, typically if you want your child to be in virtual all year, you have no desire for them to go back to the building when face-to-face instruction resumes, then this is probably your best bet. This also offers a lot of flexibility of using the full 24 hours for you to be able to go in and do the things that you need to do. I know that Mary Beth will go over some of the different things of the course, and I always want to jump in because I get in orientation mode, so I'm trying to get out of that. But I do know if there are some tips and tricks that I know I have in communication when I meet with families that aren't covered, I will make sure I cover them before we sign off.
All right. I'm Mary Beth, and I have been working with the team at Pottstown for quite a few years, and we're really excited to be continuing to support the school district in the virtual program. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about Pearson Connexus, which is the platform, and then we're going to do a quick demo just so you guys can see what it looks like, and then I think we'll head into Q&A from there. So go ahead if you want to progress. Thank you. So what is this? This is a world-class education experience, and I know that sounds quite lofty, but we have an incredibly easy to use online learning system. We offer hundreds of courses from K through 12 to support your student, different levels of courses. Again, you'll work with your guidance counselor to determine what you're going to enroll in, but there is breadth and depth of opportunities for your students. Individualized attention, I always like to hit on. Our teachers not only host live synchronous classes, online, but they meet with students one-on-one to give them that personalized instruction, which is just so important. And all of this is done within a safe and secure learning environment. The platform itself is self-contained. The communication internally is self-contained, and you'll see that when we demo. So your child really will be learning in a flexible environment that is built for individualized learning. Okay, thanks. So before COVID, we would always talk about the different types of students that we serve. And this really still applies, right? Even though that we're looking at this option more intently because of what's going on in our nation, this is still an incredible opportunity for any type of student to learn virtually. A lot of our students are athletes or artists who are pursuing something. Or maybe a student wants more flexibility because they learn better in the morning or they learn better in the evening. That's just how their brain works. Or maybe they're very intent on a sports practice and they just like some flexibility. This really gives all types of students a chance to learn and do things outside of school without falling behind. Okay. Thank you. This is our learning model. And what you'll see really is that the student is at the center of everything that we do. Starting up on the left, the caretaker, the learning coach, the parent, the guardian. You all who are on the phone, you are a critical part of your child's education. And through this virtual opportunity, you are playing the advocate, the cheerleader, the person who is really supporting that student and mentoring your student along. Down at the lower left, the teachers, they're critical. We talked a little bit about this earlier, or Daisy did, and she explained that the teachers are Pennsylvania certified teachers. Some of them may be local to you or regional, but they are trained in teaching students online. It's different than being in a classroom, and they've been doing this for quite some time. They have ongoing professional development to ensure that they are providing the best instruction that they can, and they're really looking out for your student. They are delivering live synchronous instruction to your student during the week. They're meeting with your students one-on-one. They're hosting office hours, and they are there like a traditional teacher would be in the brick and mortar. Certainly our curriculum, we'll show you a little bit more about it, but it is engaging, it is rigorous, it is interactive, it is not boring, and it meets state standards, so we are aligned. It is very high quality. And then, of course, all of this is brought together through the platform, which we affectionately call Connexus EMS. It's an education management system, and we'll show you that in just a moment. But it's really all designed around your student. So we're going to talk a little bit about the curriculum and really what it does. It really comes to life when you see the platform, but we're going to talk about it at a high level. So first of all, this is a 21st century online curriculum for 21st century success. Hundreds of courses that are accessible anywhere, anytime you have internet access. This is a highly effective alternative to a traditional public or homeschool curriculum and is designed to help students gain the knowledge and the thinking skills they need for life, for work, for higher education, for career, whatever their path may be. These courses also develop skills in the important quote unquote 4 C's of 21st century learning, which are critical thinking and problem solving, communication, creativity and innovation, and collaboration. These are things that every student needs, whether they're going on to pursue college, whether they're going out into their career world, whatever they need to do, or whatever they decide to do, excuse me, these are critical attributes that are built into our courses and our curriculum. We have hundreds of core, so your English, math, social studies, science courses, world languages, even in the elementary level, and many, many electives as well. And there's breadth and depth of this. Again, I'm sure the team has shared with you all of the courses that are available. Next. Electives specifically, world languages. There are courses like business management. There are humanities courses, gifted and talented, honors, AP courses, general studies, CTE courses or career tech ed. So if your child wants to explore a career, this is a great opportunity for them to try a course and just see if it's something they're interested in. And then of course we have the infamous health and PE classes as well. So really, again, a breadth and depth of electives for your students to explore and learn and try new things. The lessons and assessments are hands-on. There's a lot of project-based content. Everything is aligned to Common Core state standards and standards for mathematical practice. So again, reiterating the quality curriculum that's available to your students. We also partner with some best in breed resources to make sure that our curriculum is the best that it possibly can be. We know that we do things very well at Pearson, but we also know that there are other education companies that may have some assets that really could benefit your students. And so we partner with them to ensure that we have the best quality content available. We are also accredited nationally by Cognia, and we are nationally and regionally recognized. Accessibility. So this is always a hot topic. We are what we call Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG 2.0 compliant. And really what that means is that we are ensuring that we are offering the students who may have some disabilities the opportunity to learn. So our fonts are the right size, the colors are the right colors on the screen. It is the highest level of accessibility required at a school level, and we meet that in everything that we do within our platform. So I am going to ask Daisy, if you can stop sharing your screen. I will share my screen and we can jump into the platform and take a look. Give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure I'm on the right page. Share my screen. All right. Please let me know you can see this. Are we good?
You're good.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So right now we're in a student view. This is Kiersey, and she's an elementary school student. I like to show elementary because I think there are always a lot of questions about what does elementary look like online. As you head into middle and high school, the content is a little bit more text heavy, obviously a little bit more rigorous, but I always like to show an elementary course. So first of all, when we designed this platform, we wanted to ensure that the students knew what they needed to do. They knew how they were doing in their courses. Obviously, they wanted to know their grades. We know that's important. And we wanted them to be able to communicate well with their teachers. This look and feel, all of these functions that I'm going to show you are available to every student K through 12. So any student that logs in is going to see this. These are the course tiles. And this student happens to be enrolled in 3 courses plus the orientation course, which you will be assigned. Every student will see a left navigation over here, which we'll get to in a minute. And there's also usually some navigation at the top. So the first thing that the student can do is they can see their list of things to do by accessing their calendar, which appears here in the navigation. This is a demo, so there is not a ton of data loaded in here, but when your school partners with us, we assign a start and an end date to your semester, and all of your course due dates are going to populate on this page. And you and your student can look at this by week, by day, by month, or the entire semester. So there would be a litany of things here that he or she needs to do. She can look at each course individually or look at all of them at the same time. And she can actually click in here as one way to get into the course and do her work. So she can view the calendar. She can also, from home or from the home page, look at a to-do list. Again, it would populate if there were dates in here, but this is a demo. So again, a couple different ways to see what she needs to do. In addition, she can see a list of these things in the course, which I'll show you. So obviously she can figure out what she needs to do from here. The second thing she's always going to want to know is, like we said, how am I doing? Tell me about my grades. So this is Kiersey's gradebook. She's got all 4 courses here, and she would normally see her score. She would see how she's progressing through the course, and she can click on any of these courses and go into the details about how she's done in everything. So every activity, every lesson that has some sort of activity is going to show a score, when the student submitted it, when it was due, is it late, is it on time? This view is the same view that you have as a parent, that your teachers are going to see, and that the people overseeing your program who are on this call are going to see. So everyone is looking at this and monitoring how your student is doing. So this is a high level view of this. You can actually click in even further and see any grades that were submitted, any notes that the teacher has made. Obviously there aren't any here because she hasn't done any grading, but you as a parent can see this, the student can see the feedback. In addition, like Dr. White talked about, there's an activity tab, so everybody can keep an eye on how much time your student has spent in each lesson. As a parent, you might want to look at how your students are doing against objectives. Teachers and administrators love this. And students can also click on this what if tab and they can say, you know, I'm not happy with this 80. I want to bring this up. And they can pre-populate upcoming assignments and assessments and recalculate their grade to figure out what it's going to take to improve that grade. So there's lots of data that the student can see from that grade book. And like I said, the teachers and the administrators are seeing the same thing. Also on this on this navigation, you'll see a webmail. We have an internal webmail system where the student and the teacher can communicate directly, and also administrators can communicate with your student. So if you wanted to send a webmail, it's all internal within the system. She can see announcements here. These announcements might be at the course level that the teacher has made. Hey guys, don't forget, we have midterms coming up. Drop into my office hours so that I can help you if you have any questions. So announcements can be made here by the teacher. She can also view those announcements in the activity stream. So this teacher's posted a couple announcements here and in this little quotation little bubble. So lots of communication opportunities between the student and the teacher from webmail and announcements. We touched on this before, but each teacher is going to deliver live synchronous instruction to your student. This live lesson page here will house the links to each of the rooms that where your student will meet. What that means is that each week, your student will have the opportunity to participate in an online class, kind of like a Zoom call, where they can all see each other and the teacher sharing content. She might have a whiteboard up and she might be showing fractions or showing a video about mitosis. But she's interacting with the students. The students can all interact with each other. And those lessons are recorded. So if your student has to miss it for some reason or needs to go back and refer to it, your student can. But they're offered a couple of times a week for your students, twice a week, different times. It's the same content, but just different times for the core courses. And then they're available usually every other week to every 3 weeks for electives. And then the student is learning independently in the course between those times. We get asked a lot of times, how much time does a student spend online? Elementary students, K to 5, might spend 30 to 40% of their time online. And that online time is either in their live lessons with their teacher or potentially doing some work online. And then they're doing offline things like using manipulatives to work out fraction problems, or they've printed out a worksheet that allows them to practice their handwriting, or they're reading something. Middle schoolers, more like 50 to 60% online, and high schoolers, certainly much more, closer to 90% online. Generally also, a kindergarten through 5th grader might spend 4 to 5 hours a day online and again, or in their classes. But again, it just depends on the student. They might want to spend more time. And all of this is going to be tracked, like Dr. White said, just so that we ensure that your student is spending the time that they need to spend. And the teacher's looking at that too. So a couple other things just on here, like we talked about, the live lesson, the calendar, the webmail. Your student has the ability to take notes in the course, and they can access the notes here from this home page. So we're going to jump into a course. We're going to look at language arts too, but let me just explain a couple of things on this tile. First of all, your student will always be able to see their current score here as well. So they can go to that gradebook navigation, or they can see their score here. They can see the progress they've made in the course. So, you know, they're getting there, it's getting there, it's getting there. And they can click here to go right to that grade book as well, to go back to that lined page that we just saw. So they can get to things a few different ways. And then they can simply click on the tile to go right into the course. So this is the shell of the course. A few things I just want to point out. And again, I'll reiterate, this is a demo. So in a demo, I can jump around. I can look at things out of order, but your student can't. They need to progress in order. So the last thing I visited was an activity, a lesson 214, and coming up next is the course guide, which we know is out of order, but normally it would be in order. And your student can click on any of these to go right into the lesson. This to-do list would also populate by course specifically. So again, a couple different ways for the student to figure out what they need to do. Each of our courses has a course overview. Elementary school students, this is for you parents. So you're going to want to know what this course is about and just have a high overview of it. Middle school and high schoolers can read this themselves and take care of it themselves. Each course also has a course guide, which is like a syllabus. It's going to go into detail by unit and lesson, what objectives will be covered. Again, a parent or learning coach is going to want to understand this for the elementary students, and middle schoolers and high schoolers are going to be more independent and use this themselves. Each course also has a backpack. It'll include things like what course materials are in a course. Do I need anything? This has e-texts, doesn't need to have anything supplied at this time. School supply lists, this is always a question that's asked. Whatever you would traditionally buy for school, pencils, scissors, glue for elementary, middle school, you might need a protractor or whatever. Just your basic school supply list. There's nothing unusual. And a lot of times it might say, grab 10 paper clips and divide them into 3 groups. So it might have items that you could use around the house also as your supply list, if you will. You'll notice here that I've opened up the unit. We're in unit 2, and there's some green checks. The green checks mean that the student has completed the work. And so you'll see that really the student needs to start here. So again, the student can go into the course a couple of different ways. We're actually going to jump into this lesson here, which is 213. And again, this format, while this is specific to elementary, the functionality is available and applicable across all grades. So the first thing I want to point out is that many of our courses have a screen reader. You can use a screen reader if you need one and the course doesn't have it embedded. Many of them are, and we're adding that to more. But we also have a text-to-speech feature, this little ear up here, where the student can highlight a word or a phrase and have it read out loud.
Watch and think with Lion.
The speed can be adjusted depending on the student's need. The highlight colors can change as well if the student has an accessibility issue. Lion, the word, can be highlighted and can be defined by clicking on the dictionary. What is a lion? It can also be translated into from one language to 5 other languages, and all of that can be set in the settings. So it's really a word translation, not a paragraph translation. But if you're speaking another language at home and you need some support with a word, it's built into the course. This is an elementary course, like I said, so you're not going to see a lot of text, but what you are going to see is this cute little character that we affectionately call the learning buddy. This is Lion, and we designed the elementary courses to take some of the onus off you as parents in providing instruction and guidance, and we wanted to ensure that that was built into the course. So we created these learning buddies to provide guided instruction, explicit modeling, feedback for the student. And the approach that we're taking in the elementary courses is that the character and the student will do something, the character will give an example of something. The student and the character will work on something together, and then the student will have some independent practice. So here I'm going to play this. We're sort of midway through where the character and the student are going to talk through something together, and then the student will go into a practice activity, which I'll show you as well. So all of our courses have closed caption, or all of our videos, excuse me, have closed captioning, again, following that accessibility compliance. And so let's see what Lion has to say.
I have 3 words and 1 word does not belong. Listen to the sounds in the middle of the words to help me figure out which word does not belong. Sit, man, kid.
So that goes on for a bit. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but obviously they're working on the middle sound, the I and the A, the soft I, the soft A. And he's explaining some different sounds so that the student recognizes how the words are used and how the words should be pronounced. And then the student has an activity that she will do independently. So she'll click here and it will open up into an activity where she will determine which of these words have the same or different middle sound. And she'll drag and drop. So this is bat, and this might be cap, but let's put it over here. And this is, I don't know, sit. Let's see how we did.
That's not it. Try again.
Okay, we can try again. So then we try again here, and we'll drag and drop, and we'll check it again. And that's correct. So then she would move on to the next page. There's 20 of these. So again, it's a repetitive activity that she's learned from the prior page. And once she's finished with those activities, she'll come down here and mark the activity complete. You'll see this is already marked because it's not hot pink. And then she'll move on to the next activity. And the next activity is going to do something very similar. Again, working with the short A and the short I. There will be a video that explains something as an example for the student, and they're blending the words, and then they have another activity, and then they would mark this activity complete. So again, very quick overview of how these courses will work. Like I said, in the middle and high school level, there's obviously a lot more text. There is no character talking to the student. Sometimes there's a video, there's flipped learning where they might ask a question and they might have a video to watch and they might think of some answers or jot some answers down and then have kind of a partner activity even with another student. So there's lots of interactivity within the content itself. A couple other things I want to show you. Again, this is the high level of the student view. There is an orientation course that you will each take. Usually you do them as a family so that as a parent or learning coach and your student, you both can understand kind of how to maneuver and work through Pearson Connexus. I'm going to log out of here and I'm going to show you a parent view because there's a resource in the parent view. Hold on. There's a resource in the parent view that's really important for families at the beginning of the year and even through the school year. So Miss Smith has 3 children enrolled, which is pretty cool. If you have a couple of kids, you'll have one login. And when you log in, and we're going to log in as Kiersey, you see that she sees the exact same thing. But as a parent, she can't do anything. She can only look. She can poke around. She's still in as an observer as a parent, but she's Kiersey. All the way down in this left navigation, there's something called the Family 411. And I want to point this out to families because I think it's a great resource to use when you're learning about online education. So this is really a kind of a repository of all sorts of tutorials and information about not just the platform, but how do you set up a learning space at home for your child? What do you need? Or how do you create a family plan to ensure that everybody in the family is supporting this child or these children who are learning virtually? I like to point out that on the Getting Started tab, the Creating a Daily Schedule. This always seems to be very daunting for parents. And the student isn't going from period 1 to period 2 with a bell ringing. That doesn't exist at home, obviously. So you need to create some sort of schedule for your students. And you do that by identifying when the live lessons take place and then kind of scheduling things around it. And you can fill in the schedule as you need to. You might have to accommodate a dentist appointment or hopefully soccer practice again. And then you might have multiple students. So how do you deal with that when you have more than one student and you need to create a schedule? So this is a great example of a resource that's available through the Family 411. You might want information about the language arts curriculum. You might want more information about, tips for using the materials, whatever it is. There's lots and lots of information in here. And I encourage all of the parents to spend some time in here. The last thing that I want to show you, because this is great, right? You're seeing the parent view, you're seeing the student view, but how does anybody figure out what's happening with your students? I want to show you from the administrator view. Hold on, I can't text and talk at the same time. I knew that was wrong. Hold on. I can't talk and type at the same time. I apologize. This is what your teachers and your administrators are looking at to ensure your students are successful. This is a dashboard that has all kinds of data about how your students are performing by class. Are they passing? Are they at risk? Are they failing? How are their grades? Are they on pace? You saw the calendar that was built out. Are they keeping up with the courses or with the assignments and the assessments as they're scheduled? Are they mastering the objectives in the course? And this goes down to the course level or the lesson level. Who's mastered and who hasn't? There are reports that administrators run and that teachers run, and they look at all the time to see how your students are doing. And the teachers are reaching out to students during this to progress monitor and provide one-on-one support to your students. So they have that live lesson during the week. They have an opportunity for one-on-one time with a teacher, whether the student reaches out proactively or the teacher reaches out proactively. And then teachers also host office hours where the student can drop in and get support. So there's lots of opportunities for your students to have interactions with the teachers and for the teachers to be able to ensure that your students are moving through the course the way they should be and that they're getting the support that they need. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn this back over to the team.
Okay. I'm looking at the questions, and I just wanted to check in with Sarah quickly to see.
Yeah, so thank you, Daisy. So there's a couple of questions that I was hoping Mary Beth might be able to chime in and help out with.
Sure.
So Mary Beth, there was one in particular that I think might be a joint question, but with the school program as well as us.
Yeah.
Family asked about picking up the Chromebook. Any word on the kindergarten Chromebooks? And would they be able to use an iPad until those Chromebooks come in? So I think we might be able to take that section about the iPad.
Yes, I think iPads are not ideal for this platform. There is still a little bit of flash in some of the courses, and the Chromebooks have a workaround, but for whatever reason, we've found that the iPads don't really have a workaround. So there may be some lost functionality in some courses. So we really don't recommend using an iPad. We recommend a laptop, a desktop, or certainly a Chromebook. And there is a workaround with that flash for the Chromebooks.
As it relates to kindergarten Chromebooks, we do not have that information. They were ordered a while ago. The problem is that everyone is backed up on Chromebooks. So I know that we're looking at other venues to be able to try to get those. But as it relates to kindergarten students that are in VAL, we are working actually on getting you equipment right away. Daisy will be in touch once we connect with our tech department about that. And then I also seen something about when Chromebook is. There's been a lot of communication that was sent out. I don't know offhand when. I believe the high schools was yesterday. I believe that there are Lincoln and Franklin might be tomorrow. So you would need to review that information because it came directly from the superintendent.
Great, thank you. And Mary Beth, another one for you. How often are the live lessons per subject?
Sure. So the core courses, which is English, math, social studies, and science, those are delivered twice a week, but it's the same content. So your students will have two choices to be able to meet in a live classroom setting for core. Electives meet less frequently. It might be every other week. It might be every few weeks. PE, as an example, does not meet regularly because a student is keeping a log of the activity that they're doing, just as an example. The other thing about the live lessons that I want to point out is that they are recorded. So your students can go back and view them if they had to miss them for some reason, or if they just wanted to listen to the content again because they didn't master the concept. They could also attend both that week if it's a tough concept and they need to hear it more than one time.
And Sarah, I don't know if you wanted me to go through some of these or are you going to field them to us?
I can certainly keep fielding them if you like, or you can pick and choose. That's up to you. I was kind of trying to call out some of the ones that I know would be specific for Mary Beth. This one, I don't know if it's going to be a joint question or if it's going to be a Mary Beth question, but there was a question early on about attendance and a parent asking if with a program that they had utilized previously, they would just let the teacher know if the child was sick or if there was an emergency so they were unable to log in. Is that something that they can still do with this program?
Yep, absolutely. So what they would need to do, because of, typically we're not in the building, is send an email so that we have a paper trail, and we would use that as an excused absence. So you do have the ability to say, well, my kid is sick, they're not going to be on all day, and you'll just send that via email, and then we can forward that to the building so that they know to mark that day as an excused absence.
And you're also welcome to email the teacher about it, because your student might want to, if they're absent on a day that they know they have a live lesson, they might want to make an appointment with the teacher to cover what was missed, or drop in during office hours or something, right?
Right, but just for clarity, make sure you absolutely email Mrs. Harho, Daisy.
Yes.
but you
Yeah.
also can email your teacher.
Mhm.
All right, and then there was a question about students being able to complete more than one grade level per year. Are they able to work ahead or advance ahead of schedule?
So typically the work is rigorous enough for students to stay on track and be with their other students. We offer the opportunity, if they move ahead, to be able to explore different electives. For a student to skip a grade, that actually has to be approved by the superintendent.
Thank you. And here's another one along some course offerings. Are students able to take college courses through VAL? And if so, what grade level would they need to be in currently? I think maybe like a dual enrollment option.
So VAL doesn't have college courses, but if your student enrolls in the dual enrollment program, that would all be put together through the high school, which means maybe they'll do Monco for like a high school English, and I believe that is 11th and 12th graders. It could just be specific to 12th graders, but my suggestion would be to contact your guidance counselor, and they would set that up, and you would do it like a dual enrollment, like they can do VAL for the other courses, and they would enroll in Monco, but that all happens through the guidance office.
Dr. White, there was one that maybe you might be able to answer as well. Will the school be providing hotspots?
So if you are having issues with internet, you are to contact the district. They are working on getting hotspots. It's not like they have 3,600 hotspots that they can get, but what they try to do is get hotspots in certain areas so that people can pick up on them. So if you do have a need, what I need you to do is email that COVID-19 email and express your need for one of those. That way, that'll go directly to our tech department.
Sarah, I'm seeing a couple here that I could answer if you'd like. Someone asked, how do students find out who their teacher is? They will receive a welcome letter from their teacher once they're enrolled, and they'll know who their teacher is. They can also look in the grade book, and next to the grade book, next to the course is the teacher's name. They can email their teacher that way as well. Title I reading program, is that included in VAL?
So any related services that students would have would happen through the building. If the school is offering the Title I, that would be how those services would be provided. They are not provided through VAL.
Okay. Someone asked about tests. There are assessments built into the courses. So there are assessments throughout the course and then an assessment at the end. We addressed the live class times.
I'm seeing one about grad projects. So we're waiting to hear more information from the high school. I know towards the end of the year, grad projects were put on hold. If that is in fact true for students that are in the regular high school program, that would be true for you as well.
Dr. White, there's a question. What time do students have to log in to take attendance? Can you explain that 12:01 to 11:59 again?
So we give students the full 24 hours. Actually, it's like 23 hours and 59 minutes in order to log in. So at 12:01 a.m., which starts the day, to 11:59 p.m., that's when you have all day to log in. So there's not a specific, you got to log in at 8 o'clock. The only specific times they have is if you want to be a part of the live lesson, and then you would log in during those specific times. Or if you want to set up teacher time in their office hours to get support, then you'd have a time for that. But other than that, it's as flexible as you need it to be throughout the day. So if you're a night owl and you like 3 a.m. math concepts, knock yourself out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the benefit of this, right? Is that it gives the kids flexibility. If they're morning people, get up at 6 and work. If they're night owls, they can work at night. Someone asked, is an 8th grader allowed to take different languages?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Is an 8th grader allowed to take different world languages?
So what we first do is we go through the core courses and we don't give it to them immediately. We want to see if they're able to handle that workload. If it's looking like they're able to keep on track, then we can start adding those different things, but we don't want to overload students in the very beginning.
Okay.
I do keep seeing a lot about the district Chromebooks. You should be picking those up with your respective buildings. If there are specific things that need to be pushed out to the Chromebooks for VAL, our IT can do that remotely. So you should be going along with the same procedure that everyone else is doing to pick up your devices.
Those are all the questions.
There was one more question. Are parents still using home access for report card grades? Dr. White?
So for high school students, yes. What typically happens for high school, and I'm hoping it happens this way because we haven't discussed that in those bazillion meetings that we've had, is we take the grades and put them directly into home access because they need it for transcript purposes. For elementary and middle school students, you actually can look at your grade in real time at any time. And you know that the end of the marking period for Pottstown regulars virtual is the same as VAL. So when that marking period ends and you want to see a final grade, you'll go right into this system to see your grade. These grades will not show up in the home access center.
And I do want to address when should new VAL students get orientation info? People may not have been here earlier, but there's a soft deadline, which means parents and students can still decide to switch from VAL to PSD learning and vice versa. I should have all of this information. What I need to do is I need to input all of our students into Pearson as well as parents. So after I do that, I will have information populated and I can send out login sheets to both parents and students. So that should happen next week. I would look out for it Monday or Tuesday. I'm hoping to get most of it done on Monday, but if you don't hear from me on Monday, you will definitely hear from me Tuesday early on. If for whatever reason your login info seems weird, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me with any questions following up after this, or any questions you might have in general about anything. I'm happy to answer or direct them to the individual who can answer them best for you.
And I may have had a brain fart, and Mary Beth, you may have answered this about only VAL students being in classes or other students from other places being in the same class. Did you address that?
Sure. So we definitely try to keep VAL kids together. However, there will likely be other kids from other Pennsylvania schools in class with them.
And that would typically be prevalent if there was a live lesson.
Yes, because that's really the only time, right? Exactly. Exactly.
And then I also see one about,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw a question about scheduling of live lessons. So they're offered twice a week in case there is a conflict, but the teaching team, they try to manage those schedules. If there is a conflict, then, or if your student has trouble, if they're assigned to a certain teacher and they can't make another lesson because there is a conflict, reach out to that teacher. There may be an opportunity to switch something.
And then someone asked about second grade student choosing only one elective. The same goes for, we really start with the core courses after a little bit, and it looks like your child is able to manage that workload of courses and you wish to add the elective, please reach out to Daisy and we can talk about adding that elective.
I do see here, can they use their own computer and not a Chromebook? Absolutely. Especially if it's a kindergartner that might not have a Chromebook quite yet, that's absolutely an option, and we encourage that to start with. However, if there is any sort of an IT issue, unfortunately, IT is not able to troubleshoot a device that is not district provided. So that's something that if you do have an issue personally, you can reach out to me directly if your student is using a device not district provided.
Also, I'm seeing about, now I just lost it, about school and the orientation. So school starts on the 24th. If you have your login credentials and the orientation course is uploaded ahead of time, of course you can go in and do your orientation. My suggestion would be even if it's the 24th, try to get your orientation done prior to starting your classes, because it's going to really help you navigate through the system. I see one about asking about high school for electives. So what we first do before we start picking electives, the guidance counselor has to look at what the student actually needs. So if they say they need a humanities, any humanities, and they tell you guys that, then you'll reach out to us and Daisy will be able to go through some of those elective opportunities for you. We don't just give the student those courses. So our guidance counselors just got back on Monday. So they are working on scheduling right now. And they have a list of all our high school students that are definite moving into VAL. So we'll be working through those before school starts. So yes, we have two, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just answering. The question is, will someone be available to help with orientation? So yes, so Daisy will be available. And we also have gyms, which are great expectation mentors. And what those gyms will do, they'll be your liaison along with Daisy between home and the district. And if you are having issues with orientation, you can reach out to us. On the virtual side, you have online teachers. You also have live tutor options that you can go into the system and ask for support as well. So I definitely urge you to utilize all of the supports that are offered. My first suggestion would be is to utilize your online teacher, utilize the live lessons. So if you have a student and you're like, well, we've used everything and we don't know how to help, that's really when we can get involved and help you navigate through that. Other things that the gym or Daisy can do is help you craft your email so that you can explain more thoroughly or clearly to your online teacher what your actual concern is. So those are other things that we can support you with in that arena as well. But I definitely urge you to utilize your online teacher and the live tutor function, and as well as utilizing the office hours for the teacher. I mean, that's why they're there. We pay them and they're there to help. So, and they want to help. So I know previously we had students who were struggling with it. And then when I run a report of have they visited any live lesson or try to get any tutors, it showed that they hadn't. So we really urge you to utilize those supports because they're there specifically for you.
So let me just expand on the live tutor. So the live tutor is available for the 4 core subject areas. For English, social studies, and science, your students can access a tutor through one of those live lesson rooms 9 to 6, Monday through Thursday, and math goes till 11 at night, and it's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday for all 4 core courses. So it's a resource for your student to go in, like Dr. White said, that the district is paying for. It's an additional layer of support for your students, knowing that they're going to be independent. They might need some immediate assistance versus waiting maybe a day to meet with their teacher, so that they can keep learning when they're learning.
I want to address the will someone be available for orientation, live lesson for orientation? No, but I mean, I did orientation before I connected with anybody, basically when I was a brand new member to the team. And it is pretty, it goes through it very well. It's pretty self-explanatory. It shows you the exact places that you would click on it as a caretaker in order to see your students' information. And if there is any questions on any piece of the orientation video, please feel free to reach out to me individually. I'm happy to answer anything. I did the orientation course myself, and like I said, I did learn a lot through it before I connected with Pearson individually. So it should be pretty easy to navigate. But in terms of, I think one of the greatest features, and I said this during my presentation, is the syncing your calendar with your student's calendar. This is something that will show you when your students have to submit things. It will like the calendar literally links your student's calendar with your calendar. And I think that's a huge piece, especially for parents who are working full-time through this. You know, their students might not be working through the traditional student hours and might be working at home with them. So the parent can then log on through their calendar and see, okay, we need to do X, Y, Z for my student today because this is due today. Sorry.
So I also see about the live lesson or orientation. I mean, so there is a student platform where they will have their orientation and the parents will have your own platform. So when the student logs in, they will only see their things. They won't see parent orientation or anything like that. So their things would be specific to them on their actual platform. If they have more than one, no, a parent doesn't have to do the orientation multiple times if they have more than one student in VAL.
Just to answer the question about the assignment, your teacher is your teacher. So your student should reach out to the teacher and talk to them. They could schedule a meeting with them. They might just be able to answer it over webmail. But it's just like if you were in a brick and mortar, that student would go up to that teacher and ask the question, or you as a parent might support them and do the same if they're a younger student. Treat them like a traditional teacher because that's really what they are. They're just virtual. All right.
Okay, and I just want to address the issue with the Chromebooks. After this call, I am going to reach out to technology just to make sure that everybody feels comfortable going. If you went to a district pickup today and you haven't received a Chromebook, I will figure it out and we will get it, even if it's one-on-one, even if it's me meeting with you one-on-one to get you your Chromebook. I will make sure that you get your Chromebook sometime next week so that we can make sure that this is all smoothed out. I just don't want anybody to feel stressed if they did go to a pickup today and were unable to pick it up. Tomorrow should be a different field. I'm going to reach out to technology and you should be able to pick it up as a VAL student. So
I actually already reached out to them and we're
great. Great. Thank you so much. This is why you're in charge.
And then for Maria, this is not a charter program. This is an extension of the school district. We always had a virtual option for students. We've been having this since 2012. So students, we want to be able to provide opportunities for our students to have different ways to learn. So our virtual program, although the district does fund the courses, it's not a charter school. Students in the school are still Pottstown School District students. They still are attributed to their respective buildings. All their attendance and their grades and things go to that respective building. So it's another opportunity that the district has provided for families to be able to do online learning. We let the district know that your child is attending VAL once we've gotten you in as a definite person. If you're not in as definite, you are going to automatically revert to the school district's virtual learning with the school's teachers. All right. I just want to thank Mary Beth and Sarah and Daisy for putting together this presentation. I appreciate it. And I really want to thank you guys for coming on. Don't think that today has to be the last time we communicate. You can always reach out to us via email. And obviously, Daisy and some of my other staff members have been in contact with you guys, so you know how to get a hold of us if you have any other questions. So you guys stay safe and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.